Variables.
Yeah. Correct.
Oh, and here we don't need to declare any object. Just directly we can do that one.
Correct. Because static, right? This method.
Oh, one more.
Normally, variables declaration don't give inside the methods. Give
Okay.
outside the methods only.
Oh, okay.
In the
Because it is
class.
a small program, that is the reason I gave it. And
That's
one
it.
more question is,
Yeah.
here uh, I declare scanner. Scanner is the
Mm-hmm.
class, is it right?
Yeah, scanner is for reading, means keyboard input, right? You're
Yes.
giving the yes, that is a class.
So here scanner SD equal to new scanner. This means we are creating an object. Is it right? Whenever
Correct,
we are
correct,
creating an object, we are giving like this. Is it right?
correct, correct.
Is it possible? Can we give the creating object in the class?
Class means no.
Here this is my defining class. Is it right? Class string
Okay.
demo is my I
Yeah,
am
this is a
creating one
class actually.
class,
Correct.
and but here this is actually an object of the scanner class. Is it right?
Yes,
But
yes.
but in usually we are doing scan. Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead, go.
Oh,
See, you can create in a class the objects, right? And
yeah,
then you
we
are
can.
calling the methods. But always create inside the main method objects.
Can we declare like this also? We can't declare.
No, we can declare. We can declare. So
Okay.
normally, see, you can declare creation of objects outside main method, but you need to call the methods using the object only, right? Example,
Yes.
whatever logic you are writing, string variables, the logic, right? You just mention all these things in a separate method, not inside the main method, to avoid the lines of code. Main method means it is only mostly for the execution. Uh, from the main method only execution will start, right? So instead of defining everything inside the main method, give outside the main method in a different other methods. Create other methods, other objects outside of main method also, and you can call them. But normally, whenever you are doing execution, JVM will come first, because JVM will need to identify main method. Then only the execution will start. Then it's good to create objects inside main method, and you need to call the methods from the main method. Example, using the reference of the object, you can call other methods. You don't have, we are having other methods also, right? Not only main method only for the execution purpose only. Like JVM will to get the execution, and the calling the methods, creation of objects, declare inside the main method. Give other logic outside the main method within a class. If you, because we can create as many methods, right? As many method, not only single method. You can create 10 methods also in a class, your own methods, class methods. Okay, and also you can create more than one object also in a class, not only one object. So everything you can do it, but don't write all the logic inside the main method. I'm saying
Oh, okay.
this is not a
So
good practice.
okay, so my question is only predefined objects only we have to declare in the class, or any objects, normal objects also we can declare in the class.
No,
Here
we
this
can
scanner
declare.
is the predefined, is it right?
Scan, yeah. See, normally util package. If you go to util package, right?
Uh,
All classes are predefined only in libraries. Util that Java.util package, you have all the classes, array list, linked list, hash map, all are existing. We are not creating anything, right? But we should create the objects for those classes. You
okay.
understand?
Yeah, so here, this is like a variable or
No, this is
object for this string demo.
whenever you are giving a new operator, it's an object only. But
Okay,
this scanner is already available because you already imported a util package, right? So
yes.
scanner, you can create object for the scanner here.
So here this SD variable is the object for the scanner, but it is
Yeah.
the variable for the class string demo. Is it right?
No, no. See, this is not a variable. This is an object only. Okay.
Oh,
This is
is it?
object. Don't give static also. Don't give static.
Because I declare this is the outside of the main method only.
Okay.
I mean, I declare this
Actually,
one in
you
the
are doing
class.
correct, but you are not doing proper steps in a proper way. Okay. So what I will do, right? See, I have given the material. What I will do, I need to explain everyone like how we need to follow the proper structure. Structure is very important in Java. Okay, where we need to declare the variables, where we need to define the methods, where we need to create the objects. That is very important in Java. Otherwise, we will get more confusions. Okay, I will explain, Sirisha, in a
Oh,
separate session. Okay.
oh,
So,
okay.
but normally my suggestion is don't define everything in the main method. Main method only create objects, call the methods, and other logic you need to define outside the main method in other methods. You can create method one, method two, method three in a string demo class. You can write your own logic, if conditions, whatever. You define the variables in the class itself. Don't define inside the main method. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And also, what I will do, right? I will give a proper programming where we need to give the variables, define the variables methods, and I will send in the material. Okay.
Oh,
Or
okay.
we will discuss in a separate session.
Okay.
Okay, right? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And
okay.
also go to the this one our materials. Okay. Then just there also they have given properly. They have defined the variables in a proper way and methods in a proper way. But obviously, you can try by your own. This way only you can get more experience. In Java programming, always uh, you won't get knowledge when a program executes successfully. You need to give. You should get the errors whenever you are defining in a wrong way. Definitely, you will get errors. That way only you will get more experience. You can explore it. Okay, but before that we need to follow some rules actually, like properly where we need to define the variables, where we need to define the law methods in a class. Okay.
Oh,
Okay, Sirisha,
okay.
I will help you in a separate session.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, yeah, but good that you have tried this one. Good. Okay, I'm starting Selenium. I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, I
Oh,
have shared my
Venkat
screen.
garu, still my screen is visible to you?
No, no, I have shared my screen now.
Okay.
Is everyone able to see my screen? I
Yes.
have shared my screen. Okay. See, we have seen the locators, right? Selenium locators. So, in a high level, the ID is one locator, name is another locator, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text, CSS, XPath. Okay. All these are locators in a Selenium WebDriver to identify the page elements in a web applications. So, sorry. See, how to locate the web elements in a DOM. That means DOM means this HTML code, right? Whenever I think yesterday I have shown. I'll open 1 second some application. See, this is a one Amazon web application. When you this is a Chrome browser, we opened in a Chrome browser. So in Chrome browser, we can inspect the elements. So example, if you right click the on a page, web page, you can get inspect. Inspect is there. Okay. This way you can do it. If you do this one, see here, this is the DOM structure. Okay. The HTML source code of the page, this page. See, as we all know, the first thing to start within which is to find the HTML element in DOM. So these are all HTML elements only, right, of this page. So in a DOM structure, we need to find the proper web element attributes to locate the any element. The example Amazon.in one page element. So this is fresh. Okay, this is one element. So all these are page elements only. Okay, so this is one element. So to identify all these elements, we will use the locators. So for that, we will use this DOM. Okay. So if you right click and select inspect, it will open. Or else F12, you can press the uh, keyboard key in the keyboard F12 button. Then you can able to see the HTML source code of this page. So for which we need to grab the locator. So using this, we need to identify the page elements of the web application. We can follow the following steps to identify the web elements in DOM and a web browser. See example, we I opened some Amazon web application, right? So you can open any web application. Okay, they are opening some tools QA demo website. So you can open any web application in a Chrome browser, and we can open in any browser, not only Chrome browser. Selenium WebDriver supports multiple browsers. You can open the web applications like Amazon in a Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox or Chrome, Safari, Opera, any web browser you can open web applications. But when you're working in a IT projects, a client will need need is to open the applications, their applications in a specific browser. Some banking applications, the client will ask you to open in Internet Explorer browser only. In some clients will ask you to open in Chrome browser. So accordingly, we need to use the browsers when we are automating any web applications in a client place. So the Selenium WebDriver supporting multiple browsers, as we all know. So currently, I am showing only Chrome browser to open a Amazon web application. See here, they are also saying same. DOM can be accessed in Google Chrome either by pressing F12 button or by right click on the web page, then selecting inspect. We have done the same now. So these are the two ways to open the DOM, the HTML source code, right? So here this way, as we have done now, the same way with selecting the inspector. So we need to select, right click here on the web page, select the inspect option. Then the DOM structure will open. So once we click on the inspect option, it will open a developer tool console. The same way, this way. This is the developer console, tool console. So by default, it will open the elements tab, which represents the complete DOM structure of the web page. So this is the complete DOM structure of the web page. So it will highlight the corresponding elements it represents on the web page. You see here, sorry. Now, if we hover the mouse pointer, this is the pointer, right? This looking like a pointer. This is a mouse pointer in a DOM. So you need to click this one. So if you hover at the mouse pointer over the HTML tags in the DOM, It will highlight the corresponding elements in a it represents on the web page. If you select this mouse over pointer and select this any web element, select any web element, then it will highlight the corresponding source code. So if I highlight this, if you see, this is highlighted the corresponding source code of this, the HTML source code of in this DOM structure. So this is a link. That's why it is showing anchor tag. Okay, and also ID, class, all these are attributes and the values. Within the ID is a attribute equal to double quotation nav logo sprites is the value. Class is a attribute. The value is nav logo link. Whatever in the double quotation, right? For each attribute, that is the value of those attributes. So whenever you are selecting using mouse over pointer, so using this pointer, highlight any web element you want to locate it. Then it will highlight the corresponding source code in the DOM. So this is the way we need to find the locate attributes for the locators. See example, they are highlighting in this example some tools QA. This is also link. Okay, like Amazon here, Amazon.in, right? This is a link. The same way, this is also link. That's why it is showing anchor tag. So anchor tag that you are the link and the image in the image tag, it is showing the source of that image. Okay, so this way, whenever you're using mouse over pointer, whenever you highlight any web element on a web application, so it will highlight the corresponding source code in a DOM structure. So now main point is how do we find the web element in the DOM? Click on the mouse icon arrow and then select the web element on the web page. It will automatically highlight the corresponding head. It's the same way. It is automatically highlight, right? Automatically highlight the code. Suppose we want to find the HTML elements corresponding to banner image. These are all same process only. Okay. This is the way of identifying the specific source code for the web elements is select this pointer and highlight anything. So it will highlight the corresponding source code in the DOM. So just that is the important for us. See here, this by I will show how we will write the locators. For that, we need to know the by. So to access all these locators, so these are all locators only, right? As we know, 8 locators. So to access all these locators, Selenium provides the by class. So in Selenium, the awardee dot the package where Selenium available the libraries is org.openqa.selenium, and within the Selenium we will get all these classes Selenium WebDriver, web element, by all these classes available in the Selenium package. Anyway, we'll see the programming examples. So by is a one of the class. So to access all these locators, 8 locators, to all these locators for accessing, Selenium is provides the by class, okay, which helps in locating elements within the DOM. So this by class will help, which helps in locating the elements within the DOM. It offers several different methods, some of which are in the image below. See, normally the methods available in a by class are class name, CSS selector, ID, link text, name, partial link text, tag name, XPath. All these are methods. The locators only. So we need to use the corresponding locator methods. So which are available in a by class in Selenium WebDriver. So using these methods, which can identify the web elements based on their corresponding locator strategies. You can quickly identify all the supported locators by Selenium by browsing all the visible methods on the by class. So whenever in Eclipse IDE, when you are typing, so anyway, before writing the code, right? As I have shown in Java, we will create a Java project in Eclipse IDE so that all the Java libraries will be downloaded, right? The same way, when you are creating a Selenium automation test cases, we need to create the Maven project. I will show that also. Maven project. So then we will download all the libraries of Selenium or whatever tools we are using for the automation purpose. So Selenium we will use, TestNG we will use for the execution purpose, JUnit we will use for the execution purpose. The same way, whatever tools we require, we will download all the libraries using Maven build tool form.xml. So in a just I'm giving a high level context here. For the automation project, before writing a code in Eclipse, before writing a code for your project in any IDE, Eclipse or IntelliJ, we will use any IDE, right? Not only Eclipse IDE. Based on the client, we will go for mostly everyone will use Eclipse editor only. So some clients may ask you to use IntelliJ. That is also similar way. So when we are creating a project in Eclipse and before writing this code, right, for the inspection of elements or before writing a automation test cases, what we need to do, I'm explaining. Okay. So when we are giving all the dependencies in a pom.xml, it will download all the libraries in our project, automation project in Eclipse IDE. You can able to see all the libraries. So then only it will highlight like this. That's why I'm explaining all this. So whenever the library is already downloaded in a project, when you're doing in Eclipse IDE, then after downloading only all the libraries in your project, you can able to see all these methods. When you're writing a code, right, driver dot find element dot by, then it will highlight what are the methods available in a by class. So when this is possible when you are downloading all the libraries in the specific project in Eclipse IDE. So here we are writing, see, this driver is an object. That means normally in Selenium WebDriver, the first step is we need to create a driver object. Normally in Java, what we are doing for the Java classes, we are creating a object and then using object only we are calling the methods, right? Object dot method. The same way in Selenium WebDriver, we have a driver object. So this driver object is this is very important because driver object only communicating with the web browser and inspecting the elements and doing the actions. So the driver object is communicating with the browser for the application. Example, Amazon web application open in a Chrome browser. So this driver object, this is a Chrome driver object. So we need to create a Chrome driver object to communicate with the Chrome browser to perform the actions on a web application, the Amazon application. So for that, the initial step is in Selenium automation, the creation of driver object for a specific browser. So driver object dot find element. Find element, as we discussed yesterday, find element is a method to finding the identify the elements on a web page, web application. So in this Amazon web application, to find this Amazon.in, the title web element. So we will use the driver dot find element method. Within the what is the syntax of find element method is by dot some ID locator or expert locator. So all these by dot class name. If you want to use the class name locator, you need to use class name method. If you want to use CSS selector locator, you need to use CSS selector method. If you want to use ID method, ID locator, you need to use ID method. So after by dot any method, you need to use it. So by is a class here. See here. As we can see, Selenium supports following locators. All these are locators only. Okay. How to locate the web elements by using the ID attribute. So we'll see one example now. So ID as a locator is one of the most common ways of identifying elements on a web page. Mostly ID is a unique value. As we discussed yesterday, ID locator na ID attribute here. If I highlight something like this, ID, see here, I highlighted this sign in button using a mouse pointer, then it is highlighting the corresponding source code of this button. So here if you see ID is there. One second guys. So here as we have seen, when you highlight any element, it will highlight the corresponding source code of this element. Here ID is a attribute, right? So ID always like this when you are doing automation test case creations. So we need to identify the web elements the same way. Click the pointer and highlight this, and it will open the corresponding source page. The source code of the HTML source code of the page. The page here always ID is a unique value. That's why ID locator is efficient in identifying the web elements because always it is a unique value. ID is having unique value. The web element always needs to be unique. The ID is one of the fastest and unique ways of allocating web elements and is considered as one of the most reliable methods for determining the element. So ID locator is mostly we will use it to identify the web elements on a web application. Because of this uniqueness, okay, and it is a little faster only. It will identify the element quicker way. But with the advancement in technologies, the more of the dynamic web pages, IDs are generated dynamically and generally not the reliable way. See, when you are going for the dynamic web pages, the IDs are generated dynamically. It is not a single ID. So in our dynamic web pages, it's keep on changing the IDs. IDs also creating dynamic way. In this case, it's no need to go for ID. We have other locators, XPath locator and CSS selector, class name, tag name, link, partial link text. So we have other locators. So mostly in a automation project, right? So XPath also is useful only. So we can go for XPath for the web, dynamic applications. That means dynamic web pages. Let's understand the usage of the ID attribute for locating web element. They are giving one example here. So suppose we have to look at the text box, first name on the web page. See here, in this example, this is a web page, this image, web page. So the same way, Amazon, Amazon web page and the source code, right? The same way in the example, this is one web page. Okay. And here the first name is a text box, web element. Name is a label, right? The first name is a web element, the text box web element. So here, when so we are locating this text box first name, okay, on this web page. So when we inspect it in DOM, we see following. See, the same way for the finding the source code in a DOM, right? We need to press the pointer, this pointer, and then highlight something, some web element. Then it will highlight the corresponding source code, right? The HTML code. The same thing here. So they have highlighted first name. This is a one web element, first name web element, which is a text box. So after highlighting it, it is highlighted the code, source code, HTML in the input tag, and then these are the attributes, ID value, class value. So all these type, all these attributes and the values. So here ID is there. ID, if you see in the highlighted source code, ID equal to first name. That means ID is an attribute and the first name. So here we need to use ID attribute value. So as we can see, input HTML tag has the following properties. The input tag, this is input tag. See, text boxes means we need to enter some input text, right? That's why the tag is, the tag name is input tag in a DOM HTML. So this input tag having these properties required placeholder, type, ID, class, all these are properties and attributes. As we can see, the HTML tag contains the attribute ID. So here we have attribute ID, this one. So this HTML tag is containing, input tag is containing attribute ID value, first name. First name is a value, ID is a attribute. So which we can use to locate this web element in this web page. So now to find the first name text box on the web page, this one, to find this first name text box in the web page, this page, we can use the following syntax. What is the syntax? By dot id of, see, by dot id, if you see this methods right here, driver dot find element, this is a syntax of inspection of web elements in a web page in a Selenium. So driver object dot find element method, inside the find element method, again you need to use by class dot the corresponding locator methods. So here they are giving directly how we can use by id locator method. So by dot id of first name. So this first name is a value of the id attribute in a HTML code. So here in a HTML input tag, right? Then you have the ID attribute. The value is first name. So we need to use the value of the ID attribute to inspect the first name text box web element on this web page. So the same example for for any, if you are automating any web application to identify any text box web element, what you need to do, go open the mouse over point, that means select the mouse over pointer like this, select the mouse over pointer, highlight the required web element, and then it will highlight the source code. So do the same for the for locating the web elements using the HTML. So after highlighting it, it will give this source code, right? So here you can find the ID attribute value, and then you need to pick the value, and you need the mention the attribute ID attribute value in the ID method of by class. So by is a class dot id is a locator method, and you are passing the value at id value here in the HTML input tag, the id attribute value first name. So you need to pass the value of the id attribute. So this is the way to locate the text box element. The first name is a text box element using id locator. So as we can see that we have used by that id method, and we have passed the first name is a value, right? Attribute value, which is the id of the text box we are trying to locate. So we are locating this first name web element using the id locator. So how to locate a web element? By using the name attribute. See, I hope everyone understood now. This is a one way how to highlight, how to use id locator in Selenium to locate the element in a web application. So that syntax is by dot one second, sorry, driver dot find element of by dot id of first name. So we have anyway after this definition, right? I will show the programming examples also. There you have the total program like this. See here, just I'm showing. Don't want to confuse. See here in this example, we need to create a driver object first. As I have mentioned, right? The initial step is creation of driver object. Web driver is a class in Selenium. Web driver, driver is object, new is operator, Chrome driver is a class. So for Chrome browser, if you are creating a driver object, we need to give Chrome driver class. For the IE means Internet Explorer means we should give IE driver class. For Firefox means you should give the Gecko driver something. The Firefox class name we will give Gecko driver. So that same way here we need to understand for required browsers. Currently we are using Chrome browser. So when you are using Chrome browser to automate any web application, so you need to create a Chrome driver object. So Chrome driver object. So this is the way creating driver object. Always web driver will be there. Web driver of Selenium and object name equal to new Chrome driver class. So after creating a driver object, driver dot get method will be used. Get method means why we are using get method here to open a application. Now we have opened Amazon application, right? Here to open this Amazon web application through automation using Selenium, we will use get method. So after creation of object, object dot get method, okay, and we are passing the URL of the application. See, if you see why Java is important means creation of object, calling the methods using object, all these Java concepts only, noops concepts, right? That's why Java is very important in Selenium automation. So when you understand those Java basics, right? So Selenium is very easy. So every concept is Java concept here. Okay, only the method names and all Selenium methods. So here creating object, driver object, and then calling the get method. So get method is a default method in the available method inside this Selenium WebDriver. So object driver object dot get method and passing the URL of the application. So this is the way to open any web application in Selenium automation. So get method is used to open an application. So after opening application, what we need to do? We need to inspect the web element, right? Identify the web element. For that, this is the syntax. Take the variable web element type of element variable. Okay, and then driver object dot find element. See, everything, initial step is creating driver object. After that, calling any method using driver object. So because this is a Java language, right? Object oriented. So we need to use object dot method name. So driver object dot find element method. So find element is a method used to identify the required web element on any web application. So driver dot find element of by dot id of id value, as I have shown few minutes back, how we need to highlight the source code in a DOM. When you are using a mouse over pointer, highlight any web element in a like this, then it will highlight the source code. Here the id and the value within double quotations, the id is attribute, the value. So we need to use that value. Here this is the value of the id attribute. So by that id locator method passing the value of the id attribute. So this is the way to identify the web element on a web page using id locator. Okay, after identifying it, if it is a button, example, this is not a button, this is a label, right? When you go sign in, this continue is a button. If you see mouse over pointer, highlight this continue. If you see it is highlighted, it's input tag. Okay, this is a button actually. We are pressing this button, right? So for button, the type is submitter. The name of the button is continue. Okay, so if it is a button, what we need to do? We need to click, right? We are not entering. If it is a text box, we need to enter the values inputter. So in that case, we will use send keys method. But in the web element is a button means. So in this example, they are treating this is a button, submit button. So for any button in Selenium, to click the method, we will use click method. So click is a method using in Selenium WebDriver to click on any web element on any web application. So after identifying the submit button, in this example, we are clicking the button. So how we need to click? So after identifying it, we are storing the value in a element. Okay, that element dot click. So this element is the submit button. So submit. So this is Java concept only, right? So we are this method is returning some value, that with the value we are storing in element variable of web element type. So after the element is having the submit button locator value, right? So that element object, that variable dot click method. Okay. So after identifying the locating the web element, we need to click action should be done on the web element. So click is a method to perform the click action on that identified button. So just I am showing this code because everyone will understand now how we need to write the Selenium code. First step is creating the driver object and calling the get method, because to open a required web application, because after opening application only we need to look at the elements, right? Without opening application we can't highlight the web elements, because manually I opened the Amazon website. Manually I opened. I typed amazon.in. I opened web application. But through automation Selenium, we need to use this method. Driver object creation, first step, driver object dot get method and URL of the application. And then web element, the specific web element locating. So driver dot find element of by that ID, ID is a locator, by is a class, by that ID of the attribute value of ID. And then after identifying the locating the element, we need to click the element. So element dot click. So this on the element variable, we are storing the locator value. That's why we are just simply giving that locator value dot click. So this is the way using ID locator. So how to use name locator? See here. After that, how to use name locator? Similarly, ID attribute, similar to the ID attribute, Selenium also offers using a way to identify the elements using name attribute. Okay. But what is the difference between the ID locator and name locator is a web page can have multiple elements with the same name attribute. The web page, in this case, in this example, Amazon web page. So any web application, any web page, it can have multiple elements with the same name attribute. Sorry. So we are going to use the name attribute for the identification of a web element. We should always make sure that name attribute must contain unique value. So here we need to make sure before locating a web element using name locator, that name value is a unique value. Then only it will identify. If it is a duplicate value, so then it is having multiple elements on a web page, right? With the same name. So in that case, we need to use some index value and all that I will explain later. So here name is another locator to identify the web element on a web page. See, if you are not using unique name value, many so it may identify several different elements on the same page. So instead of identifying a required element, it will identify the several elements on the same page. If it is not a unique value, if name locator is not having unique value, then it may identify several web elements on a web page on that page, because it is having the same value. That's why it will locate the multiple web elements on a web page. If it is a unique value, then it will identify the specific web element on a web page. So always we need to give the unique value for any locator for identifying the web elements. So that is the context. So if multiple elements have the same value of name attribute, then Selenium will just select the first values in the page which matches the search criteria. So we always recommend making sure that the value of the name attribute should be unique when we select it for locating a web element. So the same, when you are not using a unique value, it will highlight several elements on a web page. So we need to make sure to using a unique value for the name locator. So let's understand the usage of name attribute for locating a web element in this example. So in this web page, if you see, male is a check radio button. So gender is a one field in a web page. In this web page, gender is a one field. In this, male is a one web element. Female is a one. These are all radio button web elements, right? So when we highlight with the mouse over pointer the specific male radio button, then it is highlighted the source code like this: input tag, name equal to gender, required type radio, ID. So all these attributes and properties will display when you highlight any this mail web element on this page. So as we can see, the input tag, this is input tag, right? HTML tag, the input HTML tag representing the mail checkbox has the following properties. And so this is not a checkbox, this is a radio button. By mistake they mentioned checkbox. So this mail radio button having all these properties and attributes. So input tag, HTML tag, name is a one attribute, the value, the required property, the ID is a attribute, a value. The same way, it is having multiple, these attributes and properties and values. For this, male, gender, radio button, web element. So these are all web elements only. We can call all these are web elements in this page, web page. So male, gender is a one web element. So after highlighting using pointer, it is the source code of the HTML. Here it is having all the properties and attributes. In this name attribute is there. Name equal to gender. Okay. Name equal to gender. So using the name locator, we will use this value. Okay. When you are using name locator to inspect to identify web element on a application when you are automating test cases, so this is the way we need to use value for the name. After highlighting, it will highlight the web element. After selecting web element, highlight the source code. Here name attribute will be there. The value of the name attribute is gender in this case, so we need to give the gender name attribute value for the name locator. So we can see the attribute name with the value gender. We can use the following syntax to locate the element using by class. By is a class, by dot name is a locator method, and value is the attribute value of name is gender. So we are passing gender. So why we are giving all these values means this is a page code, right? For this in the web page for all these web elements, this is the HTML source code. So to perform the actions on those web elements, to select the radio button, to enter the email ID, to enter the mobile number, all these are actions, right? We are performing actions on these web elements. How to do the means using the locators, we need to pass the HTML source code values. Then only we can perform required actions. To select a radio button, so we need to use the specific attribute value for the name locator. So by that name of gender. So as we can see, the by class provides the name method, which accepts the value of the name attribute of the web element. So name is accepting the attribute or name value, right? So using by class. So by that name of the value of the name attribute is gender. So here we are using the name locator to identifying web element this way. So which accepts the value of the name attribute of the web element. So using this, we can look at the web element that has a unique name attribute. So if you see here, this is having a unique name, gender. That's why it is highlighting the that specific gender male web element because it is having the unique value only. So always we need to pass the unique value for the name to identify the web element. This is the second way. For this also, this is the method. See here, name locator. So for the name locator, this is the code. Creating the driver object and driver dot get of opening the application and web element type element. See all these elements on the web applications, right? A web element type only. That's why we are using web element class type. So Selenium web element is a one class. So web element type of object element equal to driver object dot find element method by dot name. So After creating a driver object here, we are calling the find element method to identify the, and inside the find element we are passing by class by dot name locator and passing the value of the name locator. So this is the way to find the identify the locators, right? To find for this object. So we are storing the identified object. So using this method, we are finding the specific web element and returning the return value we are storing in the web element, which is a web element type. So in this element, we are having the inspected value. Then the element object dot send keys method. Here, this is a if it is a text box, okay. If it is a text box, then we need to use send keys method to enter the text. That if the web element is a text box, we need to use send keys method. If the web element is a button, we need to use click method. So based on the button, the web element types, right? We need to use the Selenium WebDriver methods. So in this case, so Selenium is a button. That's why we are clicking the button. So here Selenium, the web element is a text box. So we are entering the values using send keys method. So using name attribute, so name locator. This is the example how we need to locate the web element using the name locating web element using name locator. So the same way we have a class name. So class name also, the class name is a one locator. So that this also will highlight, will find the web elements based on the class values of the DOM structure. The HTML DOM, the class is one attribute. So we are having the class attribute to value to identify to locate the web elements. If we want to identify or perform any operation on the form element, we can use the class to identify it. See example, this is a one form, the page, right? Page. So it in a page, this is a student registration form. So in this web application, if you highlight using they have highlighted using mouse over this form. So student registration form. Then here in this form, the source code is highlighted like this. The div tag, class attribute, okay, and the value. So if we look at the DOM structure of this form, we can see the following snippet enclosing. So this is a code snippet of HTML, right? For this form. So div tag class equal to class attribute. The value is practice form wrapper. This is the HTML code for this student registration form. So we can use the class attribute value from the above DOM to identify the form. To identify the same on the web page, we can use following syntax. So we can use the class attribute value to identify this form using the class name locator. So by dot class name. So by is a class name is a locator method. So by dot class name of passing the value of the class name. So we are passing the class name attribute value. So to identify it successfully, we need to make sure that class name value that we are using for the locating web element, that is web form, is unique. So for highlighting any web element, we need to ensure that we are passing the unique values for the locators. So for class name also we need to pass unique value. So here we are having unique value that we passed it. So always Automation tester will need to ensure passing the unique values to identify the web elements accurately. Otherwise, it will look at multiple web elements if it is not a unique value. So always we need to pass the unique values to identify the web elements on a web applications. If any other class contain the same value as this, then Selenium will select whichever element comes first while scrapping through web. So if you're having multiple name attributes, that means multiple name attributes, the duplicates on the web page, then it will handle using index concept to highlight the required web element. So they are saying we need to starting from the first element, we will select the corresponding web elements. So always you pass the unique. If there is not a unique value on a web page, then we need to use some index concept to highlight the required web elements that we will see while doing the examples. How to locate a web element using linked text. So now we have covered three locators: ID, name, class name. The fourth one is linked text. Fifth one is partial linked text. So linked text and partial linked text are the locators. Both are quite similar. Both are similar locators only, functionality wise. So it will locate the web elements by using the hyperlink texts. So hyperlink. So example in this Amazon, right? If you click the title, this is a link. This is a link, right? That's why anchor tag is there. The same way for if you see the title of the is Amazon.in, right? The text. So for any link using the text to highlight a web element, we will use link text and partial link text. So both are similar functionality wise. In a link text, we need to pass the full text. In the partial link text, if the text is a lengthy one, then we need to give the partial text to look at the web elements. So in the anchor tags, as I have shown now, we can only use them for the elements containing anchor tags, similar to other locator strategies. If multiple hyperlinks with the same text are present on the page, then Selenium will always choose the first one. So here also we need to ensure the unique ones. If it is a multiple links are there, always we need to go for the selected starting from the first one using index. Suppose we need to click on the link home. See in this example, home is a link, home link. So we need to click on the link as shown in the below home link. So in this page, home is a link. Then if you highlight this home link, then the corresponding source code HTML code is highlighted. So in this diagram, anchor tag is there. Tag A, because home is a link. For any link, the HTML code is opens the anchor tag, right? So anchor tag A, that tag A, ID equal to attribute, ID equal to the value. Href is a that link at href attribute value. Value is the link. HTTPS double quotations, quotes double slash www.demoqa.com. So this is the href value. Target value. The home is a text. If you see, home is a text. The link, home is a link, web element link. Home is a link element in this page, and the text is in home. In this source code, HTML anchor tag, it is displaying a HOME home as a text because this link text is home, right? So this is a home, the text. So the text of the link is home. So for identifying the elements using link text or partial link text, we need to use the hyperlink text as shown below. See, this hyperlink text is home, right? In this anchor tag, this is hyperlink, right? So the text is home. So using the home, the text, we need to use link text locator. So by class dot link text locator and passing the link text home. So this is the way to locate the links, hyperlinks on a web page. So here home is a link on this web page, and using the text of the home link, we are locating the element using link text locator. So by that link text of home. Similarly, partial link text can also recognize the element by using part of the hyperlink text as shown below. See, HOME home is a full text, the complete text. HO is a partial text. So normally partial link text means for lengthy link text, right? It will be useful to use partial link text. Just for an example, they are showing what is partial link text. HOME home is a full text means partial text is HO, only two letters. So by using partial link text locator, we are passing two letters of the text. This is partial text. So by that partial link text, by is a class, partial link text is a locator. In a locator method, we are passing partial text HO. So this is the way we need to use partial link text locator to identify the links. It will identify any link that contains HO. On a web page, if it is having a HOME, we have second link. If you see, we have two links here, HOME home, and in the bottom, we have HOME XICYA. So in both when you go for partial text, HO, it will highlight two, not a unique, right? It is highlight two links. Then we need to use proper index to highlight the required link web element. So it will identify any link that contains HO in the hyperlink. Likewise, if several links are containing HO, then Selenium will select the first one. So starting from first one, so index first it will go to first index and then second index. So when example, when you are selecting HOME, the index one, when you're selecting when you want to locate HOME XICYA link, second link, then index two. So Selenium will handle that whenever it is having duplicate attribute values, it will locate the required web element using the Selenium that index concept. Okay, that the HTML we have the index concept. So these are the two ways to locate the web elements using link text and partial link text. See here, link text example. How we can use link text? The code is creating the WebDriver object, driver equal to new Chrome driver, because we are opening application Chrome driver, and then driver object that get opening the application, and web element type element because home is a web element, right? So web element type element equal to driver dot find element method and of by the class dot link text. So this is the syntax. The driver dot find element of by dot link text and the value of the link text. In the above example, we need to pass HOME home. So by locating the element using link text locator, then we need to use click method because link is a home means link means we need to click, right? If it is a text box, we need to enter values. If it is a button, we need to click. If it is a link also, we need to click, right? Example, in this Amazon, We are not entering anything. We are clicking this, right? We are clicking the link. So for clicking link, we need to use click method in Selenium. So after identifying the web element using driver.find element of by.link text of the value of the link text. After identifying the web element, the value returns in element. We are storing the value in element object, which is a web element type, and object dot element object dot click method, because element object is having link value, right? So for link we need to click it. So we are clicking the. So this is the way we need to use the code example for the link text. So partial link text. Partial link text means the same. This is the example. WebDriver object creation, and then driver object dot get method. Open the give the URL of the application. So using get method, it will open the web application using get method. When you give driver dot get of URL of the application, and then web element type of element object equal to driver dot find element of by dot partial link text of partial link value. So this is the way we need to find. We will look at the element, the value returns in stored in element object. So element, so this element is having the locator, right? The locator value to identify the link. So after that, we need to use that object dot click, because link, this is a link, right? Partial link text. So link we need to click. That's why we are clicking it. So this is the way to use partial link text locator. I hope everyone understood what is ID locator, how we will use to locate the element, what is the name attribute, sorry, name locator, what is the class locator, class name locator, what is link text, sorry, and partial link text locators to identify the web elements on a web applications. After that, we have the tag name. Another locator is tag name. This locator type is a uses tag names to identify the elements in the web page. The tag name is a HTML tag, such as input tag, div tag, anchor tag. See, in the HTML source code, right? We have div tag and input tag and anchor tag. Okay, all these are tags. So using the tag names also, we can highlight, we can look at the elements. So using tag name locator, how we can identify the element in a web application. So this is the example. So, and button tag also will be there. So all these HTML tags will use to locate the web elements. So following syntax, find the web element using tag name. So this one, by is a class, by dot tag name is a locator, and the tag name is a anchor tag. If you see anchor tag, a is the tag name, right? That's why we are using a here. The tag name locator returns all the elements from the page that contain the specified tag. When using this one, right, by the tag name of a, this tag name locator returns all the elements, whatever elements from the web page that contains specific anchor tag. So if it is a link means multiple links in a page means it will return multiple elements when using this one. Then we will go for the index concept to you select the selected locator element. So here if you see tag name. So tag name locator means Tag name locator is used to locate the elements by their HTML tag, such as div tag, button tag, input tag, etc. So this is the example. WebDriver object driver equal to new Chrome driver. Driver.get method to open a application used will use get method to open a required application after creating a driver object. Driver object dot get method of application URL, and then web element type of element object equal to driver dot find element of by dot tag name of the tag name is button. Then it will return the element. So that element that because if it is a button means button we need to click, right? So we need to use click method. So element dot click method. So this is the example of tag name, a tag name locator example. So after this, CSS selector locator. How to locate a web element by using CSS selector. CSS are cascading style sheets. CSS means cascading style sheets. So CSS are used extensively to style web pages. So for style for the web pages style purpose only we'll use CSS, and hence can be an effective medium to locate various web elements. These days, most of the web pages are dynamically designed. So nowadays, right, most of the web applications are dynamically designed. So thus, it's quite challenging to get a unique ID. For dynamic web pages, right, it is difficult to find a unique ID values and name values or class values to locate a element. In this type of situation, so for dynamic web pages means go for the CSS locator, CSS selectors locators, because in the dynamic web pages the values for the ID name classes are not a unique values. We have duplicate values. Anyway, we will use index concept to highlight the required web element, but always it is good to go for the CSS selectors locator for the dynamic web pages for locating web elements. So CSS selectors can be great alternative as they are way faster compared to another locator strategies. So CSS selector is identifying the web elements in a quicker way and dynamic web pages. So the basic syntax of identifying web element using CSS is sorry, CSS equal to the HTML page and attribute equal to value. The CSS is having this kind of values, HTML page and attribute equal to value. So in the source code, right? Source code, you can identify CSS value like this. The HTML page attribute equal to value. As we can see here, full name is a text box in this example. So full name is a text box, the web element. So we are selecting the full name. So we need to locate the full name web element on this web page. So for that, when you highlight it, it will show the HTML source code like this, because it is a text box, right? That's why it is showing in a input tag. As we can see, the input element has the following properties and elements. So input tag is having autocomplete property, placeholder property, type, ID attribute, class attribute, the values. Now, so this input tag having all the properties and value attributes and their values. Now, to find the element using CSS selector, we have to use the following syntax. By class dot css selector method on input tag. See here syntax HTML page. So HTML is input tag, right? So we are passing input tag ID, attribute is ID we are taking, and value. So here ID is attribute, the value is username, the tag HTML tag is input. That's why the syntax is by dot css selector of the HTML tag name is input and box brackets ID is attribute, the value is username. So this is the way using CSS selector locator we are identifying the web elements by that CSS selector and passing the tag name HTML tag name input within the double quotations input box brackets ID attribute equal to value of the ID username. So this way we will using the CSS selector will identify the element. In this example we'll identify the full name web element using CSS selector. Similarly, we can use other attributes along with these tags to define different CSS selectors. We can use other attributes also, not only ID. We can use class also. So, but the syntax is HTML tag and attribute and value. So, CSS selectors can use other attributes also to locate the web element. How to locate web element using XPath? So, we have seen CSS selector also. Now, the important locator is XPath. So, how to locate web element by using XPath? So XPath is used as XML expression to locate an element on a web page. So XPath is always uses XML expression to locate the element on a web pages. Similar to CSS selectors, XPath is a quite useful tool in locating the dynamic web elements. So CSS selector is useful for the dynamic web pages, right? The same way for the dynamic web elements, locating the dynamic web elements on the web pages, XPath is a useful one. XPath is a important locator. So this is a useful locator to locate the dynamic web elements on the web pages. XPath can access any element present in the web page even when they have dynamic properties. So XPath, like a CSS selector, right? XPath will also locate the elements even it is having the dynamic properties. That means dynamically values are changing means it is a XPath is a easily identify the elements even though it is a dynamic properties. The basic syntax for of identifying web element using XPath locator is this one. See here, tag name double slash. This is a relative XPath. We have two types of XPath. Yesterday I have explained, right? Absolute XPath is one, relative XPath is one. Absolute XPath means we need to give from the root node, from DOM structure, we need to give what is the parent tag, what is the child tag, everything we should give parent to child. But in a relative XPath, we can give double slash. If you give double slash, it will highlight and then you can give the exact element. So no need to give the full starting from the root node. That's why the relative XPath is a very useful one. So relative XPath, we'll write the syntax like this: double slash, the tag name, box brackets, attribute value, at the rate of attribute value. So where the tag name is the name of the tag in the DOM structure. Example, in this example, full name is a web element, and by locating the web element, so using the pointer, if you highlight it, it will highlight the source code like this, HTML source code. Then here the input tag is there because full name is a text box, right? So obviously input tag is open. So input tag, inside that we have the properties and attributes and values. So using XPath locator, how we can identify this full name web element on this web page. We'll see now in this example. XPath for the above example will be like this. Because what is the syntax? Double slash tag name box brackets attribute value. The syntax is double slash. The tag name is, for full name, the tag name is input tag. So input tag, after double slash we should give tag name input, and box bracket, within the box bracket we should give at the rate of id. That means attribute is, we are taking the attribute id. In this input tag, the attribute id value is username. So id is attribute, username is a value. So double slash, the tag name is input, input is a tag name, box brackets, at the rate of id is attribute, equal to username is a value. So we need to pass value in the single quotations in XPath. So double slash input tag name box brackets at the rate of id attribute equal to single quotations the id attribute value. So this is the syntax for the relative XPath. So XPath, using the XPath locator, how to identify the web element in a web application. So here full name is a web element. We are identifying the full name web element using the XPath locator using this syntax: double slash input tag name box brackets at the rate of id attribute equal to the value of the id attribute is username in a single quotation. So this is very important, guys. In interviews, this is a frequent question. So the interview panel will ask you how to identify element, web elements on a web page using XPath, using relative XPath. You should tell like in double slash the tag name and box brackets at the rate of attribute and the value. So that is the syntax. So sample code to find web element using XPath will be following. By that XPath. So we should give by class and XPath locator and passing within the double quotations. This 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 is the relative XPath, right? So copy the relative XPath double slash input box brackets at the rate of id equal to the name. So keep it in the inside the double quotations. So by that XPath of double quotations the relative XPath value. So this is the syntax for identifying the web elements using XPath locator. So this web element full name is identified using XPath locator using this syntax by that XPath. Here we have used input tag and id attribute to identify the. So we have used the input tag and id attribute to identify the web element of full name. We will cover the okay. That is okay. So CSS selector also we have seen. XPath. See XPath example is, see XPath is a language used to find elements based on their XML path. Okay, it is one of the most powerful and flexible locators, but can be slower than others. It is a little slower than other locators. ID and CSS selectors locators are little faster than XPath locator. Okay, for the dynamic web pages, we'll go for the XPath. So WebDriver, this is the logic, the program example for the XPath locator. So creating the WebDriver object, WebDriver type of object driver equal to new Chrome driver. So we are creating a driver object for the Chrome browser. So for Chrome browser, the driver name is Chrome driver. This is a class name. A driver is an object. After creating an object for the Chrome driver, driver dot get method, and we are calling the application. We are opening the application. Sorry, using get method, we will open the application by giving the URL of the application. This is after creating driver object. And using XPath to find element, how we can do is web element type of object element equal to driver dot find element of by dot XPath of the relative XPath value double slash the tag name button. So in this example, this is different example. That's why it is showing button. The above example, it is a input. So if the Tag is a button, we should use button tag. The tag name is button means we should use double slash button tag name box brackets at the rate of id equal to id is attribute. After at the rate, we'll use attribute name equal to value name value. This is single quotations. So by that XPath of the relative XPath value within the double quotations. So by identifying the element, it will return the object, right? It is stored in element. So if it is a button, we need to click, right? That's why they are clicking the using click method. So using this is the XPath locator example. So we have covered XPath also. Okay. So we have seen all these examples, all these locators examples now. We already covered it. ID locator example, how we need to write after creating a driver object, open a web application, and identifying the web element using the locators and perform the action. If it is a button, click on the button. If it is a text box, send keys method will be used to enter the text box. After identifying the text box web element, we need to use send keys method to pass the text. Manually, in the login username password, we will enter manually, right? In automation, Selenium WebDriver will use send keys method to enter the text inside the text box. So all these class name locator, link text, partial link text, okay? All these are same. Creation of driver object, open your application, identifying the web element using the locator, and perform the action on the web element. After identifying element, then only we need to perform action, right? Performing action means after identifying text box, we need to enter the values in text box. After identifying the button, we need to click the button. After identifying the link, we need to click the link. The actions are this one. Click, okay, click, and here send keys. All these are actions. After identifying the web elements, we need to perform the actions based on the button. Sorry, based on the web element type. See, using these locators in a combined approach, you can also combine locators to create more complex queries. Here an example. How to combine what is a combined approach means? See here, like this example. For how will you go for the combined approach? Creating the driver object, opening the application. So using a combined XPath locator to find an element based on the both class and ID. Two attributes. Combined approach means instead of taking a single attribute, we will take two attributes. What are the two attributes? We see here web element object equal to driver dot find element of by dot xpath of the relative xpath value. This is a one xpath locator and ID locator. So we are using two values, two attributes, right? Xpath with multiple conditions. Okay. Using a combined XPath locator, this is a combined XPath. XPath law we have used, sorry, not ID locator, sorry for that. XPath locator only, we have two attributes, right? Class attribute, ID attribute. In the source code, we will see multiple attributes, right? If you see here, class is one attribute, ID is one attribute, if it is a anchor tag. So example, any for any web element, the source code will be like this only, right? Multiple attributes will be there, ID, class name. So to combined approach means how we can identify element using two attributes, ID and class. So here we are using in this example two attributes. One is class attribute, other one is ID attribute. So driver dot find element of method of by class name dot XPath locator. Inside the XPath locator, we are passing the relative XPath double slash button box brackets. Class name is one attribute. The attribute value is button primary, and so inside this relative XPath only we are giving and. See here XPath brackets. So here to here the same syntax, right? So XPath in the relative XPath value only we are giving the combined approach with the two attributes. Button tag name double slash button tag name and box brackets class attribute at the rate of class, the value of the class attribute, and at the rate of ID attribute equal to the value of the ID attribute. So we are using class attribute and ID attribute in the relative XPath to locate the element. This is the combined approach. Okay. So if interviewer will ask you how you will use the identify locator using combined approach means you need to write this logic. Driver dot find element of by dot XPath of the relative XPath class attribute and ID attribute. So after identifying the web element, if it is a button or link, this is a button, submit button. In this example, submit button. So the button should be click, right? So we need to use click method. So using a combined approach, using two attributes, using this XPath, we'll perform the action like this. So we'll write the syntax like this using combined approach, using two attributes in the relative XPath. So we, and then after identifying object, the web element, we are storing in a element object. So that element means the identified web element. Identified web element dot button means click method. So this is the example for combined approach. So we have seen all the locators, how it is operating, right? ID fast and reliable when elements have unique IDs. When you will go for ID means each locator in Selenium WebDriver serves different purposes. So when you are automating a web application, automation tester need to think like what locator we can use. So based on the different purposes of the application requirement. So when you are working on a banking application in in your IT company, then you need to think like which locator is useful to for that application based on the purpose. Okay, so ID the definitions, the purpose of the locators are same, but based on the application requirement, you need to go. If it is a dynamic application, you need to go for XPath and CSS selector. Okay, if it is not dynamic applications, you can go for ID. Like that, you need to take a decision. So ID means fast and reliable. ID locator means it is a fast and reliable when elements have unique IDs. So always, if ID is a unique value, it is easy to identify the web element using ID locator. Name means it is a name locator when it is using means for the forms in a web application in your project having multiple forms on the web pages. Then to identify the forms, name locator is a useful. So when you are working an automation project, when you come across forms on a web page, then go for the name locator. And class name. Class name means good for the elements with the same class. Okay. So if it is the same class, then go for the class name. Link text means best for the anchor tags. Useful when only portion of the link. Partial link text means if it is a lengthy text here there, we go for the partial link text. Enter the partial link, the text value, then go for the partial link text locator to identify the elements. So useful when only portion of the link text is shown known. So no need to enter full text link text name. Enter the partial link text name using partial link text locator. And CSS selector means highly flexible and powerful for this for the dynamic applications, right? Web applications. So go for the CSS selector because it's a very flexible one and faster one. Okay. XPath means very, this is also very flexible for the dynamic web applications. Okay. And it allows complex queries. So in XPath, we have relative XPath, and inside that we'll have multiple methods we can use, like a combined approach, and using, we have multiple methods, contains method, using text method. We have multiple methods in the relative XPath. That's why XPath is a very powerful one for dynamic web applications. We'll see when we are doing examples, all those methods. So tag name means good for generic element types like buttons or inputs. So tag name locator is always useful for generic element types like buttons or inputs. If the element is a button, login button, a submit button, and a on your web application, when you're working an automation project, when you come across the buttons or text boxes, go for the tag names to locate the web elements. In practice, you should choose the locator type based on the structure of the page and the reliability of the elements attributes. So always the locator type will be selecting. We can choose the what locator we can use based on the structure of the web page, the application page, and the reliability of the element attributes. So one example how we can write the program in Selenium. See here, first we need to write the package, same Java concept only. That's why Java we completed first. Package name, package keyword, package name, and importing all the required libraries. Import java.util package, and in the util we are importing list only. If you are giving star means we can import all the libraries available in util package, but we are importing only list class, the list interface, right? So libraries available inside the list will be imported in this program. So import java.util.list package, import org.openqa.selenium. See the package of Selenium name is org.openqa.selenium. This is the default package name. So Selenium available in this package org.openqa.selenium. It's open source, right? That's why this is the package name. Inside the OpenQA Selenium, inside the Selenium we have all these classes. By is one class, WebDriver is one class, Web Element is one class, Chrome Driver is one class. So we are importing all the classes of Selenium. This is the package names. org.openqa.selenium. This is a common. After that, inside the Selenium, we have by class, WebDriver class, Web Element class, Chrome. Inside the Chrome Driver class. So whenever you are using Chrome browser, import this package. For this, import this web element, because for all web applications we need to handle the web elements. We need to create the web driver, right? Driver object. Import this web driver class, and we need to use by class, right? Driver dot find element of by dot locators. So we need to use import the by class. So by importing all the required packages in a program, after package names, importing all the required packages, public class name. So we are creating a class. Inside that we are creating public static void main. Okay. If you see here, inside the main method, what we are doing, this is the Chrome driver. So we need to set the property for the Chrome browser. So for that, what we will do, system dot set property, okay, of web. This is the driver, webdriver dot chrome dot driver, the Chrome driver name, and the path of the Chrome driver. So always remember, when you are using Chrome browser, the Chrome driver we need to, for the Chrome driver we need to set the property. So for that the syntax is system dot set property. This is a common syntax. System dot, how to set the properties in the system means system dot set property of the Chrome driver name, that is webdriver dot chrome dot driver, and path of the Chrome driver. Normally in your desktop or computer, when you're working in automation project, we need to download the Chrome driver, right? To working on the when we want to work on Selenium automation project, we need to download all the required drivers, like a Chrome. When we are using a Chrome browser, we need to download the Chrome driver in our desktop, in our machine, laptop or whatever. So then after downloading the driver in a specific location, example, when you download Java JDK, right, it is by default C program files, Java folder. Inside the Java folder we have bin, everything, right, like this. Sorry, see here, when you are installing Java JDK, this folder will create, right? All the libraries will be there. The same way, when you are downloading a driver, Chrome driver, so it will store in a specific, inside the program files or wherever. When you are selecting the path, right, in a C drive or D drive, the specific folder will create for the Chrome driver. Then the driver exe file will be there. So we need to select that path. How we will select the path? Like this only, right? We will give this path as an environment variable. The same way, in the Selenium, while setting the property, we should give the path of the Chrome driver and name of the driver and path of the driver. Two arguments we need to pass. First argument is name of the driver, Chrome driver, comma, the path of the Chrome driver. So this we need to give the first step when you are using the Chrome browser. For the Chrome driver, we need to set up this. So system dot set property of driver name, Chrome driver name, comma, path of the Chrome driver. After that, after giving this, completing this setup, we need to create the driver object. So driver is object for the WebDriver class, right? If you see here, we import org.openqa.selenium.webdriver. So this we already imported this package. So this class already available in this our program. So we imported this class. So directly WebDriver type of object driver equal to new Chrome driver, because we use the Chrome driver, Chrome browser, right? We are using Chrome browser. So Chrome driver we need to use it. So Chrome driver class. If you see, we import org.openqa.selenium.chrome driver. So we imported Chrome driver class also in our program. So directly we are creating object for the Chrome driver class. So this is also Java. Everything is Java concept here. Class creation, main method creation, object creation. So WebDriver is a one class, right? So object. So this is an interface also we can. WebDriver is interface means object equal to driver object equal to new. This is a class. After new operator, we should give the class name for creating a object. In Java also same, right? If you go to array list list object equal to new array list. Will give like this, right? The same way WebDriver object name driver equal to new Chrome driver. So the syntaxes are same in Java, like Java in Selenium. So after creating a driver for the Chrome driver, driver object dot get method. We have seen in the previous examples when we are discussing about the locators, what is the purpose of get method. So get method will be used to open a application. So drive after creating a driver object dot method. In Java also same, right? First we are creating object and calling the methods using object references. So driver object dot get method. Inside the get method, we'll pass the application URL. Okay. So locate by ID attribute. How we can locate using ID attribute? Driver dot get of. So we'll open the application and driver dot find element of by dot ID of first name. So this is the ID locator usage for locating web element in this program. So driver is object, find element is a method, of by is a class, dot id is a locator. So by class is having all the locators, right? That's why by dot locator name is id, and we are passing the id attribute value. the HTML DOM structure, the source code, id attribute values will be there, right? Then you need to give that id attribute value. So this is the way to identify element using find element method using id locator in this example. So locate the name attribute, locate element by name attribute. So using the application name, so this we can call documentation. Example, when you are working on any automation project or any Java project, we need to give this comments. This we can call documentation. Before any method, before any class, if you give this documents, it is easy to understanding for the new tester. Example, you created some automation test cases. When other tester is executing your test cases, he didn't. Example, there are two testers. You are the one tester, your colleague is other tester. You have designed some automation test cases, your colleague other tester is executing the test cases. So before executing, he will go through the test cases, right? He need to understand what is this test case, why why we have created the test cases. For that, for understanding purpose, this comments is important. We'll say documentation. So write these comments for every method, not for every syntax. Before a class, if you give a single documentation like this, what is the purpose of that class, what is the purpose of the methods, it will be easy to understand for any new testers who are not designed it. Then he will able to understand, he will execute the test cases. So that's why every here they are giving the comments. So this is a id name attribute. This is the url of the application and name using the name attribute. So driver.get method, we are opening the URL of the application. That means opening the required web application using get method and using the name locator driver.find element method by class dot locator name and value of the name attribute. So using this name locator, we are identifying the element this way. And the same way, class name also, after opening the application, when you are finding the web element using class name, driver.find element method by class of locator name and attribute name, attribute value. The class attribute value. In this example, we have seen, right? Amazon class. See here. See class attribute. So this is a class attribute and value is within the double quotations. So this value, okay. So this is the value of the class. Example I'm showing. So driver that find element of by that class name and the value of the class attribute. Passing this way we can identify the element using class name locator. And link text, partial link text. After opening application using get driver that get method, driver that find element of by that link text, the link text name. Home link text is home means the link name is home means we'll give the text name as home. So using link text locator, we'll find the element using link text name. Partial link text means we'll enter the partial link text using partial link text locator. We'll identify the web element. The tag names means same. If you see here, we are opening a web application. Locate by tag name means when you see anchor tags, we have multiple anchor tags. What we need to do, we need to create a list first because not only single anchor tag in a web page, you have many links. Then you need to store all the links in a list web element. So list type of this is array list concept. That's why Java we are using in Selenium Java concepts, right? Array list, the list is an interface, right? The list is which is a web element type. So we are storing all the web elements, link web elements here. So object name is list equal to driver dot find elements of by if you see find elements difference between find element means single element will locate here find elements so multiple elements so driver dot find elements method will be used to identify the multiple web elements on a web page. So by dot tag name of a, so using the anchor tag we have multiple we identify multiple links on a single web page, so we can store in a list. Okay, this is also one of the interview question. We need to say we need to store all in a list, and then we can use the iterations and we can to locate a specific web element. So list we can store all the web elements of the anchor tag means linked web elements. CSS selector means same after opening the application driver dot find element of by dot CSS selector locator. The value of the CSS selector is the tag name and box brackets attribute and attribute value. So here the tag name is if it's a text box something input tag, so id equal to the attribute value, id attribute and the value is username. This in this example id value, right? So the same way we need to give for id attribute the value. So this is the way. Okay, and then xpath after get opening application find driver dot find element of by that xpath of xpath syntax is relative xpath, right? Double slash tag name box brackets at the rate of id equal to value attribute value. So this is the program. This is how we will write the program in a Selenium. Okay, all are Java concepts only. The methods are Selenium methods. Driver creation, calling the locator, driver dot the methods, find element method, all are Selenium methods. So this is how we'll create the automation test cases using Selenium. So just I will share this material today with Venkat. He will share with everyone. So just go through the material in this weekend. So from the next session, right, until Monday, we'll cover the other topics in Selenium. Okay. Thank you all. I'm closing the session. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, welcome.